Chapter 8:13. Father Tang came down the stairs and looked at Qin Ju. Seeing that he was wearing a Daoist robe, he asked, "Are you Daoist Qin?" Qin Ju stood up and nodded. "That's me." Father Tang looked around. "Where are my daughter's bones now?" His tone was calm. It was not what Qin Ju had expected. Father Tang did not seem to care about Tangua's life or death. Qin Ju's smile faded a little. "They're buried somewhere else. You can't just bring them in like that, right?" "That's true." Father Tang sat on the sofa. "How much do you want?" "I'll get someone to buy a grave. When the time comes, I'll have to trouble Daoist Qin to bring her there and bury her." Qin Ju glanced at Tangua and hesitated for a moment. "Just a simple burial? What else do you want?" Qin Ju frowned. Tangua's death was unjust. "We need to release her soul and set up a mourning hall at home to welcome her back." "Mr. Qin, don't you think you're being too hasty?" Actually, Qin Ju said all this on purpose. Father Tang did not seem to care about Tangua's return at all. "Set up a mourning hall at home?" A woman's voice came from upstairs. A beautiful woman carrying a baby walked down. "Impossible. How can we do something so unlucky at home?" "Hubby," the woman shouted at Father Tang. "Our son was just born. How can we set up a mourning hall? What if the yin energy gets to him?" "This is?" Qin Ju asked. "My wife." Father Tang quickly helped the woman to the sofa and patted her shoulder comfortingly. "Don't worry. I'll just get someone to buy a grave for her. I'll leave everything to Mr. Qin. We won't set up a mourning hall at home." Qin Ju's heart sank. He subconsciously looked at Tangua, only to find her smiling from the side. In the end, she floated behind him and said softly, "This woman isn't my mother. Help me find out what happened in the past few years. As for the bones, take them away. There's no need to leave them here." Then, she floated to the television with a smile on her face. Seeing this smile, Qin Ju did not feel good. He wasn't even willing to give her a welcome ceremony. He didn't know if she would be disappointed. "I don't think this is Tangua's biological mother." When the woman heard this, she said angrily, "Daoist priest, do you know how to speak? Do I look that old? Then I need to inform Tangua's mother. She has the right to know about this." The woman's expression didn't look too good. Father Tang said, after Xiaoguo's accident, her mother accidentally died in a car accident while looking for her. "Let's go, Qin Ju." Qin Ju nodded slightly and stood up. "Sorry to disturb you, Mr. Tang. Daoist priest, you haven't told me how much you want to pay for Xiaoguo's funeral." "Indeed, we can't do those unlucky things in this house. My son has just been born." Qin Ju said coldly, "Since Mr. Tang doesn't welcome her, I can only take her to another place to bury her." With that, he left without looking back. Father Tang didn't ask him to stay. The woman beside him pursed her lips. "Hubby, what does he mean?" "Nothing." Father Tang smiled carelessly and touched his son in the woman's arms. "How can a dead person compare to a living one?" The woman looked in Qin Ju's direction and smiled deeply. "Yes, how could a dead person compare to a living one?" Tangua saw this woman's strange smile and fell into deep thought. "I'll pick a place with good feng shui for you," Qin Ju said as they walked on the street. "What kind of place do you like?" "Cemeteries are very expensive. I still have some savings." Chapter 8:14. After spending 3 days, Qin Ju calculated the location of a cemetery with good feng shui. Of course, the price was not cheap. After knowing the price, he did not hesitate and bought the cemetery and buried Tangua's body. Knowing that Tangua was not a normal ghost, he did not send her soul to the afterlife. He just buried her in the ground. "You're really generous. That's a few $100,000. Daoist Qin, you don't seem to be stingy." Tangua sat on her tombstone and swung her legs, smiling as she spoke to Qin Ju. "I don't lack money in the mortal world. Even if I lack money, I can earn it back by taking 2 jobs. You gave me the immortal sword, so of course I have to do these things for you." Qin Ju said seriously, "After looking for a few days, this cemetery has the best feng shui in the city. It's warm in the winter and cool in the summer. If you want to live here in the future, it'll be good for cultivation. Tang Guo held her chin and watched as Qin Ju placed a bouquet of flowers in front of the tombstone. Daoist Qin is quite ostentatious. Who did you learn to give flowers to? Aren't they all like this? Qin Ju subconsciously said. Don't you like these flowers? Which one do you like? I'll buy it for you. It's quite good. Tang Guo hooked her finger and the bouquet of flowers fell into her hand. She sniffed it and said, the flowers will wither in a while. Elder Qin, I don't lack money or flowers. What I lack now is beautiful clothes. Qin Ju was stunned. Tang Guo pointed to her white shoes and sports dress. These clothes are from 3 years ago. They're outdated and don't look good. Take me to buy some new clothes. What Qin Ju wanted to say was that even if the clothes were not nice, outdated, and old, when worn by this female ghost, they could not hide her beauty. Of course, he did not need to say these words to her. He did not want her to laugh at him. All right. Qin Ju looked at this beautiful female ghost and her old clothes. He felt pity for her. Then I'll take you to a big mall. You can choose whatever you like. He thought that the immortal sword in exchange for 20 years of service was a great deal. Therefore, he wanted to treat this beautiful female ghost better. In the past, she was a lonely ghost. Now, she was a female ghost who could not return to her home. Thinking about it, she was indeed a little pitiful. Sure. Tang Guo floated down and followed beside Qin Ju. Qin Ju hailed a taxi and asked the driver to drive them to the mall. 10 minutes later, the man and the ghost arrived at the mall. They went straight to the women's wear section. It was Qin Ju's first time coming to this place. In the resting area, there were many men waiting. Most of the women were happily trying on clothes. It was indeed very eye-catching for someone like him to stare at women's clothing and wear a daoist robe while walking among countless women. However, Qin Ju was already used to these gazes. No matter how they looked at him, whenever he saw that Tang Guo liked something, he would immediately go over and take the one that fit her size. In just 10 minutes, he was already holding 10 beautiful clothes in his hands, which attracted the attention of the salesperson. Sir, are all the clothes here for purchase? Yes. Qin Ju's face didn't turn red and his heart didn't skip a beat. He nodded very seriously. Give me a basket. I still want to buy a lot. I can't even carry all of them in my hands. Ah. All right, please wait for a moment. When the salesperson turned and left, her face was still filled with shock. She had worked here for many years and had seen many men buy women's clothes. Most of them were gifts for their girlfriends. Chapter 8:15. But this man was a daoist priest, and he had chosen the latest designs. The designs were all pretty good. He did not have the taste of a straight man. Most importantly, he had so much in his hands, and even said that he wanted to buy a lot. He could not fit all of them. The surrounding girls also looked at Qin Ju, who was seriously choosing clothes. They looked at their boyfriends in the resting area, and their faces fell. If I had known, I would have found a daoist priest as my boyfriend. That's right. Her taste in clothes is even better than ours. Look at our boyfriends. They've only been to 3 or 4 shopping malls, and they look like they have nothing left to live for. Look at the handsome daoist priest. He's good-looking and bought a lot. He's the perfect boyfriend. Qin Ju heard those words, but he did not care. Tang Guo could not help but laugh. Daoist priest, they all want to be your girlfriend. I'm only interested in catching demons. I'm not interested in women, Qin Ju said seriously, and slowly put the clothes into the basket. Tang Guo smiled as she floated around him. Is that so? Then you're going to lose your job. There are fewer and fewer demons now, and there aren't many evil demons anymore. That's 20 years later, Qin Ju said with a smile. In these 20 years, I won't lose my job. Even if I lose my job, it won't be a loss. Tang Guo knew that he was talking about the cultivation spiritual bead and the immortal sword, and did not continue the topic. This guy only wanted to catch demons in this world. If you're not interested in women, then are you interested in female ghosts? Qin Ju heard that, and his hands trembled. He raised his head to look at the smiling female ghost. What do you mean? Tang Guo floated in front of him. It means exactly what I said. I'm a female ghost. Daoist priest, do you want to have a human ghost romance? No, forget it. I still only like catching demons. Chin-ju quickly shook his head, but her words echoed in his mind many times. What was this female ghost saying? She wanted to have a ghost romance with him? Tangwa looked regretful. Is Daoist priest not interested in me? I only catch demons, Chin-ju said. Hurry up and choose. What else do you like? It's rare for you to come to the shopping mall. Taoist priest, you didn't deny your interest in me. Love between humans and ghosts will not end well. Chin-ju's expression turned serious. Even if you are a ghost cultivator, in the future, I will go to the immortal realm, and you will go to the ghost realm. People of different paths cannot work together. Oh, that's really a pity, Tangwa smiled. Indeed, I will only stay in this place for 20 years. If something really happened between you and me, it would be a little cruel to leave you alone in this world after 20 years. Those who stay behind will suffer even more. Tangwa noticed that Chin-ju was frowning as if he was thinking about something. She interrupted him. Daoist Chin, I'm just joking with you. Hurry up and help me choose some clothes. Later, when you go to my grave, burn them for me. Okay. Chin-ju came back to his senses and hesitated for a moment. Are you really joking? I was just joking. Did you take it seriously? Tangwa asked in surprise. Daoist Chin, you can't be tempted by me, right? After all, I'm so beautiful. It's not strange for you to fall head over heels for me. Chin-ju almost dropped the basket. Hurry up and see if there's anything you like. Stop joking with me. She said it so seriously that he almost took it seriously. As expected, in this world, the more beautiful a woman was, the better she was at speaking nonsense. No, the one in front of him was a ghost, so what she said was nonsense. Chapter 8:16. Tangwa floated around and picked out many beautiful clothes. In the end, Chin-ju brought all the clothes back to the grave and burned them for her. There were dozens of sets in total, as well as all sorts of beautiful shoes. Chin-ju stood in front of Tangwa's grave and looked at her sitting on the tombstone, her clothes and shoes constantly changing. She looked so happy that he couldn't help but smile. Daoist Chin, does this look good? Yes. What about this one? Yes. What about this one? They all look good. Tangwa, Daoist Chin, do you only know how to use the word good to describe it? Chin-ju smiled. I'm speaking the truth. It really does look good. System, dear host, allow me to interrupt. Chin-ju is a straight man. If he says it looks good, then it should be true. I feel that using the word good to describe it is not wrong. Tangwa giggled. System, you're a straight system too, right? System, he shouldn't have interrupted. Tangwa put on all the clothes and finally chose the one she thought looked the best. She floated to Chin-ju's side. Daoist Chin, help me investigate the cause of my mother's death. Chin-ju's expression became more serious. Okay. The next day, Chin-ju used the clues he got from Tangwa and interviewed many people who knew her mother to understand the cause and effect of the car accident. I remember that it was 3 years ago. Tangwa said that she went on a vacation and never came back. At that time, Song Xiaoyun was looking for her everywhere. Later on, she even asked Tangwa's classmates. She only knew that they parted at a very remote place. She said goodbye to us hurriedly and said that she was going to look for her. Not long after, I heard that she died in a car accident. I heard that the Tang family also went to look for her, but they couldn't find her. They also called the police. There hasn't been any news for 3 years. Tangwa said beside Chin-ju. Ask her how long after my mother's accident, my father remarried. Chin-ju asked accordingly. The woman's expression became slightly strange. She said softly, not long, about 2 months. At that time, I heard that the woman was pregnant, but she died in an accident. Little Taoist priest, let me tell you. At that time, the death of that woman's child was very strange. The Tang family moved because of that incident. The woman said in a low voice, I saw that you're a Taoist priest and don't look like a bad person. I used to have a good relationship with Song Xiaoyun. She helped me a lot when I was in trouble. Since you're asking me about this, you must have something in mind, right? Qin Ju nodded. I was asked by someone to investigate the truth. All right then, I'll only tell you about this matter. The woman looked around. In fact, no one was paying attention to her at all. She still looked around carefully before she spoke. There's something strange about the villa where the family used to live. After that woman and child died, I accidentally found out about it. Later, they hired a ghost hunter and said that there was something unclean inside. Not long after, they moved out. That villa hasn't been sold yet. Every time someone went to ask around, they heard that a Taoist priest had been there, but they weren't willing to buy it. That's all I know. Little Taoist priest, I suspect that the thing that appeared in the villa is very likely Xiaoyun's ghost. If you're really capable, you should go and take a look. Maybe you can find something. At that time, I always wondered why Xiaoyun got into trouble so easily. She has always been a careful and vigilant person, but... The woman smiled. As an outsider, I can't care so much. Chapter 8:17. Tang Guo and Qin Ju came to family Tang's original villa. When they arrived, it was already very late. It was quieter here, so they climbed over the wall and entered. Tang Guo floated in easily. Qin Ju was quite skilled as well. When they first came, they thought that family Tang had moved out and this place belonged to someone else. That was why they did not climb over. Now that they knew that the villa was not sold, it belonged to family Tang. Tang Guo was the owner of the villa, so she could enter. The villa was very clean. It was obvious that someone often came to clean it. What did you see? Tang Guo asked Qin Ju. Qin Ju shook his head. I didn't see anything. What about you? Tang Guo shook her head as well. I didn't feel any other ghosts. If there were, they might have been caught or destroyed. Her expression was cold. Just as the woman had said, the ghost that appeared here was most likely her mother, Song Xiaoyun. I'm familiar with the Taoist priests who catch ghosts. With family Tang's status, they probably wouldn't hire someone without a name. I'll help you ask around and see who has come to family Tang to catch ghosts. After Qin Ju finished speaking, he took out his phone and found a group chat. He sent his question to the group chat. Tang Guo glanced at the screen and smiled. Your circle is so trendy now. There's even a group chat. We can't fall behind. If we gather together, it'll be easier to get business. It'll be convenient for many big bosses to contact each other. The group leader and group administrator are responsible for contacting those bosses. Qin Ju said nonchalantly. Even if you're a Taoist priest, you have to keep up with the times. Those profiteers are more cunning than the last. If you fall behind, you'll be cheated easily. Hearing this, Tang Guo burst into laughter. I can tell you've been cheated before. In the beginning, I was cheated badly. Qin Ju did not mind digging up his own dark history. I didn't earn a single cent from my first business. I had just left the mountain. That day, I rested under the bridge. The next day, I sat on a bench in the park for the whole night. On the third day, I earned money for lunch. And then, how did you earn your first bucket of gold? Tang Guo asked curiously. Qin Ju sat down and shared, I passed by the park. You know, there are many fortune tellers in the park. I know, but I also know that most of the things here are lies. Qin Ju nodded. The fortune teller I saw at the park that day was lying. But after a few days of lessons, I didn't expose them. Instead, I sat aside and watched how they received business. They don't need to calculate accurately. Usually, there are two methods. One is to look on the bright side. If the customer is happy, they will be very generous. Secondly, if the customers are worried, they will ask him to think of a solution. Chapter 8:18. Fang Tianxia, Qin Ju replied. Qin Ju replied with a complicated expression. He looked at Tang Guo and observed her expression. If the ghost in the villa was really Song Xiaoyun, then it would be fine if Song Xiaoyun was captured by Fang Tianxia. But if she was killed by Fang Tianxia, He was sure that the ghost in front of him would not hesitate to kill Fang Tianxia. Even though they had not known each other for long, he knew her well. From her attitude towards the village, he could tell that she was not a soft-hearted ghost. Instead, she was a vengeful ghost. What's the relationship between Fang Tianxia and Fang Yunkai? Tang Guo asked with a smile. Qin Ju glanced at her and replied, his Fang Yunqi's master. Was Fang Yunkai there at the time? Yes. Oh, other than the two of them, was there anyone else involved? Qin Ju paused. Let me ask. He sent this question in the group and soon received an answer. At the time, they were also approached by your father. Later, they came to the mansion to look around and rejected them. Why? It's a cycle of karma. Don't be fooled by the TV series. Even though Taoists catch ghosts, they don't care about all kinds of ghosts. At least, most Taoists don't care about ghosts that have karma. Only when the ghost implicates other innocent people will they take action. Otherwise, if they take action, it will result in karma. Tang Guo was curious. Then why did Fang Tianxia dare to accept? He's an exception. Qin Ju coughed lightly. He's called the most righteous Daoist by many bosses. As long as it's a ghost-catching job, he will accept it regardless of karma. In his mind, ghosts no longer belong to the human world. Since they want to disturb the human world and harm people, they should be destroyed. I suspect that he watched too many ghost movies when he was young, and that's why he developed this kind of thinking. Tang Guo had a look of realization. I was wondering why Fang Yunkai looked so retarded. It turns out that he has such a righteous master. He's the type of Daoist that I hated the most in the ghost-catching TV series when I was young. Do your friends know what happened to the ghost in the end? Tang Guo was a bit concerned about this. I'll ask again. After Qin Ju sent this question, the group fell silent for a moment before someone replied, I heard from that brat Fang Yunkai that the ghost's soul dissipated. When Tang Guo saw this line of words, her face turned cold. Her smile turned into a sneer. It turned out that his soul had been destroyed. That ghost seems to have caused a woman to miscarry. Normally, under such circumstances, Fang Tianxia would not send this kind of ghost that has harmed human lives to the temple. It must have been destroyed. Qin Ju, why are you asking about this? Could it be that you've accepted a job related to this family, Tang? Qin Ju, don't be blinded by money. There was something wrong with Fang Tianxia's brain. He always thought that ghosts could not exist in this world, that ghosts could not exist among humans. Ghosts that killed people must die, and ghosts that did not kill people must be sent to the afterlife to be purified. But you're different. The cause and effect of family Tang is complicated. You can't get involved. Once you get involved, you won't be able to get away. Just wait and see. One day, Fang Tianxia will die because of karma. It's a pity that brat Fang Yunkai was also led astray. His future is bleak. When Tang Guo saw this sentence, her eyes narrowed. It seems that most Taoists are reasonable people. The group was noisy. Qin Ju said that he would leave first and turned off his phone. Are you going to find Fang Tianxia for revenge? Let's make things clear first. Chapter 8:19. For the next few days, Qin Ju became busier as he searched for clues about Song Xiaoyun's accident. The problem was that the place where Song Xiaoyun got into the accident was a small road and there were no surveillance cameras around. The driver who caused the accident could not be found. No matter how rich the family Tang was, they would not be able to find a fugitive in this place. There were not many cars on this small road in a day. At that moment, Qin Ju was in a difficult situation. There are no clues at all. My divination method is not accurate. A human and a ghost were currently on the small road. At this moment, Tang Guo took out the spirit summoning banner that Mo Yuntian had given her. When Qin Ju saw this eerie thing, even his soul felt a chill. As expected, this female ghost was not simple. She had an immortal weapon and a ghost weapon. What was her background? It was definitely not as simple as being the daughter of the family Tang. Could it be that she was originally a powerful ghost king in the ghost world and wanted to experience life, so she reincarnated into the human world? Qin Ju, What are you thinking about? Tangwa noticed that Qin Ju's expression was complicated. His eyes were blank as if he was in deep thought. She looked at him with a smile. Are you thinking about how beautiful I am? Qin Ju's mouth twitched. Who could tell him why there was such a narcissistic female ghost in this world? Is this a ghost weapon? Yes, I plan to summon the ghosts around. There are a lot of wandering ghosts on the road. I'll be able to get something out of them. That's good too. Qin Ju agreed. He stood a little further away. This ghost weapon had some effect on him. It gave his soul a very uncomfortable feeling. If he did not control it, he felt that his soul would float up. Qin Ju, refine the immortal sword. Then you won't be afraid of the spirit summoning banner. Qin Ju remembered that he still had the immortal sword. He quickly did as he was told. After a while, the immortal sword was refined by him. At this time, when he approached the spirit summoning banner, he did not feel the eerie feeling from before. His soul was also stable in his body and did not feel like floating out. About an hour later, there were many ghosts around Tangwa. Because she had the spirit summoning banner, she did not need to use her strength to scare them. All the ghosts were very obedient and waited for her to speak. I only have one question. She told them about Song Xiaoyun's accident 3 years ago. She asked them to recall who had killed Song Xiaoyun, whether they could remember the license plate number, and what the driver looked like. Many of them were new ghosts. They shook their heads, indicating that they were still human 3 years ago, and Tangwa had let them go. The remaining ghosts that had existed for a long time all frowned as they thought about what had happened 3 years ago. Tangwa thought about it and had Qin Ju show them Song Xiaoyun's picture. Take a look at the photos before you recall. With the photo, a few of the little ghosts quickly said that they remembered. Their memories were not complete, but with the help of the ghosts, they were able to piece together the car plate number. As for the driver's face, they couldn't remember it clearly. They only knew that it was a tall man and nothing else. With the license plate number, it would be easy to find the person. Tangwa glanced at them. Why are you still wandering ghosts? Didn't your family take you home? If they were not taken home by their family, the ghosts would not be able to leave the place where they had the accident. After a long time, they would become wandering ghosts and could not be reincarnated. These little ghosts looked unrecognizable. They were all very pitiful. They indicated that they were foreigners and their family did not take them home. They had become wandering ghosts. Oh, then I'll help you release your souls and send you to reincarnation. Tangwa said with a smile. Consider it as a thank you for helping me. Chapter 820. Qin Ju did not dare to believe it. Could a ghost chant sutras for other ghosts? But what was that female ghost sitting cross-legged over there, covered in Buddhist light? The sutras she chanted had already turned into golden runes that floated into the little ghost's body. Did he see a ghost? That's not right. Other than him, there were ghosts everywhere. Didn't he see a ghost? That female ghost had a benevolent look on her face. At this moment, she did not look like a female ghost. She did not have a trace of ghostly aura around her. She looked very peaceful, like a senior monk. And the little ghosts sitting around her were so comfortable that they were about to fall asleep. The souls that were originally unrecognizable gradually became clear. They returned to how they were when they were alive. The ghostly aura and grievous energy also disappeared. When the souls became transparent, Tangwa stopped chanting. Tangwa looked at the little ghosts that were looking at her with gratitude. She formed a hand seal and a door appeared beside them. This was the gate of reincarnation. You can go. The little ghosts knelt down and bowed to her. Then, they jumped into the gate of reincarnation happily. Tangwa looked at their happy faces and felt a little envious. At the same time, she sighed to the system. Actually, after going through so many worlds, it's not that it's useless. At least now, I know what I need and what I need. If possible, I also want to help myself. But it seems like it's useless. Her Buddhist teachings were learned from a senior monk. They were good friends. When she was about to die, she even begged the other party to help her transcend. She wanted him to send her into the cycle of reincarnation. At that time, she did enter the gate of reincarnation. But when she opened her eyes, she was in a different world. Thinking about this, it was quite annoying. Daoist Qin, why are you looking at me? After Tangwa sighed, she realized that Qin Ju was looking at her intently. If you stare at me like this, I will misunderstand. Qin Ju looked away. Thinking about what happened just now, he still did not dare to believe it. This beautiful female ghost was really mysterious. A ghost helping another ghost to reincarnate. This was really unheard of. You misunderstood. Qin Ju hurriedly explained, now that we have the car plate number, let's move immediately. Sure. Tangwa did not delve too deeply into this issue. They were both familiar souls, but they had no memories. Their outlook on life was also different. Although she felt that the other party was a little cute, it was not a bad idea to develop a relationship. If he really could not seduce her, she could only let it go. She was not someone who would force others. However, for those who were interested, it was okay to fight for more. She floated to Qin Ju's side and asked with a smile, Daoist Qin, are you really not planning to have a spectacular human ghost love? Qin Ju didn't dare to look at her face. That face was too beautiful, and those eyes were too mesmerizing. He was afraid that if he looked at her for too long, he would fall into her trap and have a human ghost love affair with her. Female ghosts were the best at bewitching people. He was afraid that one day, he would be bewitched. All Taoist priests understood that the obstacle to the love between human and ghost was not other people, but themselves. They would definitely be separated in the future, so it was better to have nothing in the beginning. The love between a human and a ghost isn't good for either of us. Daoist Qin, do you mean that if I were a human, you wouldn't mind? Qin Ju paused and replied, not necessarily. When it comes to feelings, you have to like each other. Oh. Tangwa dragged her voice. So that was the case. Then how can Daoist Qin be sure that you won't like me in the future? After all, I'm so beautiful. Qin Ju's expression was a little unsure whether to laugh or cry. This beautiful female ghost was really narcissistic. Chapter 821. I will restrain myself. He looked at Tangwa and answered seriously. Ah, Daoist Qin, are you saying that you will restrain yourself from having feelings for me? Tangwa continued, you even used the word restrain. It seems that Daoist Qin's heart is already wavering. There's no such thing. Qin Ju quickened his steps. I have never seen a female ghost as talkative as you. Not only was she talkative, but she was also very thick-skinned. Did she really think that she could do whatever she wanted just because she was pretty? Didn't I see it now? Qin Ju's expression was a bit helpless. Can we not talk about this? If he continued, his mind would not be able to control its thoughts. Tangwa looked at him with a smile. All right, I won't talk about it. I won't tease you anymore. I'm just too bored and want to talk to you more. Qin Ju suddenly thought of her past. No matter how powerful her background was, he could still feel a sense of loneliness from her. Even if she looked at him with a smile and teased him, he still felt that she was a very lonely person. If you want to talk, then talk. Qin Ju's steps slowed down. I will give you an answer. Although you might not be satisfied with the final answer, if you really want to talk, then I will talk with you. Really? Tangwa's lips curled up. Qin Ju answered, of course. You spent a lot of money to hire me for 20 years. After saying that, Qin Ju felt a bit of regret. Actually, he wanted to talk with her, not because of the immortal sword. He subconsciously looked at her expression and did not see any signs of anger. He let out a sigh of relief. Then I won't hold back. When Qin Ju heard that, he was speechless. Daoist Qin, how old are you this year? Tangwa asked. Qin Ju answered, 25. What kind of question was that? You're a bit young. If I was still alive, I would be 20. Just enough to get married. You and I are only 4 or 5 years apart. It's just right. We're quite compatible. Qin Ju, do you have a wife? Qin Ju, no. Do you want to find a wife? I only want to catch demons. Tangwa floated lazily and rested her chin on one hand. Have you ever had a woman? My heart is set on catching demons to earn money. Chin-ju answered seriously. Why did this female ghost keep asking him these personal questions? Why did he have to answer them? It was as if she was checking his account. Oh, that means you haven't. You're already 25 and you haven't had a woman yet. How strange. Chin-ju was speechless. Before his master died, he was 80 years old and had never had a woman. He thought that he was still very young. He was only 25 years old. There would be plenty of opportunities in the future. Then, Daoist priest Chin, what kind of woman do you like? Tangguo asked him with a smile. Chin-ju's mouth was already trembling uncontrollably. He quickly replied, I'm focused on catching demons and making money. I'm very busy and have no time. I've never thought about it. Since you're quite free now, do you want to think about it? System, you've played too much. Host, you're so bad, so bad. I'm too inexperienced. I can't figure out what kind of person I like. Maybe I'll only know when I meet her, or maybe I'll never meet her in my entire life. Wasn't his master one of them? He thought that he would just muddle along for the rest of his life. Moreover, his talent was not bad. Who knew, he might become an immortal one day. Then if you meet her, don't miss the chance. Tangguo raised her chin and pointed at herself. For example, if you have any feelings for me, you have to confess to me as soon as possible. Chapter 822. Chin-ju wanted to say that it was impossible for him to have any thoughts about the female ghost, even if she was very beautiful. However, just as he was about to say it, something flashed through his mind and he swallowed his words. Daoist Chin, you seemed to want to say something, but you stopped. Chin-ju quickly shook his head. No, nothing at all. Let's talk about something else. Don't keep talking about me. Chin-ju changed the topic. For example, let's talk about you. He was very curious about her. Tangguo's smile did not disappear. This little Daoist priest was really too cute. All right, I'll listen to you. Let's talk about me. That's right, you don't even know me well, so why would you have any thoughts about me? Tangguo nodded, ignoring Chin-ju's face that was about to crack. Since Daoist Chin wants to know more about us, then I'll talk about me. My name is Tangguo. I told you before that I was 17 when I died. It's been 3 years since then, and I'm a little over 20 now. I think I'm quite good looking. I'm a ghost now, but I'm quite capable. Not only can I float, but I can also materialize. So, after we're in a relationship, it's not a problem for us to do some intimate things. Chin-ju was speechless. He regretted asking her to talk about you. After interacting with her for so many days, he should have known that this female ghost was taking advantage of him. She was completely thick-skinned. If we're together, I promise that I'll only like you and treat you well. Of course, the premise is that you can only like me and treat me well. You're not allowed to betray me. Tangguo smiled and said, now that I'm a ghost and Daoist Chin is alone, there won't be any obstacles if we're together. If there are any moralists who want to meddle in our business, you don't have to be afraid. I'll take care of as many as they come. I won't let anyone bully you. If they dare to gossip, I'll catch them and beat them until they don't dare to meddle in our business. In any case, I'll treat you very, very well. Daoist Chin, are you tempted? Chin-ju's heart skipped a beat. He could tell that she was not joking. Those beautiful eyes were so clear that one could see the bottom. They were like bright stars. There was no calculation in them, only pure expression of her thoughts. Do ghosts like to dream in broad daylight? Chin-ju shifted his gaze away. All right, we're about to reach the train station. Let's get down to business first. He couldn't help but think that this female ghost actually said that she wanted to protect him. Even if something were to happen between them, shouldn't he be the one protecting her? Don't all the women in this world want their man to protect them? Of course, the men naturally wanted to protect their women. This female ghost was indeed a little special. Daoist Chin, I'm not joking. If you think it through and think that you like me, you should confess to me as soon as possible. I'm only going to stay here for 20 years. When I'm gone, you'll never have the chance to see me again. Ju responded vaguely and did not say anything else. System: Dear host, this Daoist priest is not enlightened. You can't provoke him. Fine, I won't move. I'm just flirting out of habit. If he likes me, then everyone's happy. If he doesn't like me, then I can't force him. System: If that's the case, doesn't dear host feel that it's a pity? This kid is quite likable. He's not a moralist. Chapter 8:23. It's a little regretful, but I can't just tie her up and force her, can I? The system didn't understand, but he was husband and wife with the host in his previous life. Like you said, that was his previous life. In this life, he doesn't have any memories of his previous life. He is a different person. Do you understand? Tongzi, we have to improve and not live in the past. System: Shit. Tangwa suddenly stopped talking, and the surroundings became quiet. Ju was not used to it, and subconsciously turned to look at her, only to find that she was leisurely looking at the surrounding scenery. Occasionally, two wild ghosts would appear and wander around. She would pat their heads, and the little ghosts would tremble in fear, not daring to move at all. When she floated away, the little ghosts all heaved a sigh of relief and hurriedly floated away. Ju was speechless. With the license plate number, Ju used his connections in the mortal world to quickly obtain information about the owner of the license plate number. They found the owner of the car. He was a skinny man, different from the ghost's description. After Ju tested him, he believed that he was not the driver who caused the accident. In the end, he asked the owner of the car and found out that he had bought the car secondhand 3 years ago. Following this lead, they found out who the original owner of the car was and found his address. The perpetrator lived in a high-end residential area with excellent security. Without the consent of the occupant, he could not enter. I'll go in. Tangwa said, it's better if I go in. I'll disguise myself as my mother and go in. If the other party still remembers my mother, they'll definitely give themselves away. After that, it will be much easier to find out the truth. Ju hesitated for a moment before saying, be careful. Do you think anyone can hurt me? Tangwa turned around and smiled. However, I'm glad that Daoist Qin is so concerned about my safety. Go in quickly and find out the truth. Ju's expression was unnatural as he said. Tangwa floated into the upscale neighborhood. Ju stood not far from the neighborhood and watched her figure disappear. Even though he knew that she was very powerful, he was still worried. He remembered the flirtatious words that the female ghost had said earlier. She had said that if they were together, she would only like him. If she was a human, he might have been swayed. Ju hurriedly shook his head. His expression was normal as he muttered, Ju, a demon-catching Daoist is born to catch demons. All they think about is catching demons and earning money. Look for a woman. I will never look for a woman in this lifetime. After about an hour, Ju would occasionally look at the residential area. The guards of the residential area all stared at this strange man in a Daoist robe warily, thinking that he was scouting the area. In the end, he decided to just keep an eye on the neighborhood. Another half an hour later, Tangwa floated out from inside. He couldn't help but relax. When Tangwa floated in front of him, he asked, "How are you?" At the same time, he did not realize that he was secretly observing her to see if she was injured. It's him. Do you know who's behind this? Tangwa's expression did not look good. Soon, her somewhat gloomy face raised into a smile. It's the woman my father just married. The man in the neighborhood is her brother. According to the other party, she was originally my father's assistant, but by chance, she became my father's lover. My mother shouldn't know about this. Otherwise, with her personality, she would definitely fire that woman. After I went missing, my mother went to look for me. She asked her brother to kill my mother with a car. Chapter 8:24. Then what do you want me to do for you? Ju felt pity for her. Tell me what you want me to do. No need, he'll turn himself in immediately. Tangwa smiled. Have you forgotten that I'm a ghost? There's a trick called being possessed. I've used it on him. After he goes to the police station, he'll obediently tell me everything. Do you want to eat anything? I'll take you there. Tang Guo looked at Qin Ju with a smile. Of course I won't reject your treat. I want to eat anything. Are you sure you can eat those things? Qin Ju hesitated. Tang Guo nodded. Yes. That day, the perpetrator went to the police station to turn himself in. Not only did he confess that he had killed Song Xiaoyun 3 years ago, but he also confessed that he was the mastermind behind it. When the woman was taken away, Tang Guo floated in the family Tang villa. She watched the woman's face turn pale as she was dragged away. In the end, she stared at Father Tang, wanting to say something. Father Tang was holding their child in his arms. She looked at the child for a long time, but in the end, she didn't say anything and was taken away with a defeated expression. Tang Guo saw this scene and narrowed her eyes. It seemed that this matter wasn't simple. She didn't leave immediately. Instead, she followed Father Tang to the study. Father Tang, who should have been in pain because his late wife was killed, was sitting leisurely on the expensive leather chair. He had a smile on his face as he teased the child. This is good too. Such a vicious woman will be a disaster if we keep her by our side. I only said that if Xiaoyun died, I would definitely marry her. I didn't expect her to take it seriously and even asked her brother to kill Xiaoyun. Father Tang smiled. I really didn't expect her to succeed. Not only did she succeed, but she also secretly got pregnant with my son. Speaking of this, his face darkened. I never expected Xiaoyun's ghost to come back. Fortunately, all of this was done by her. It has nothing to do with me. Now, Xiaoyun's soul has been destroyed, and that vicious woman has been locked up. For the sake of our child, she will not say anything. Even if she does, it has nothing to do with me, Tang Lusheng. The Tang Corporation belongs to me, Tang Lusheng alone. Hearing this, how could Tang Guo not understand? Tang Lusheng didn't come from a good background. Later, he was admitted to a good school and got to know Song Xiaoyun, who came from a good family. He used his sincerity to move Song Xiaoyun. The two of them got married after graduation. Tang Lu became the son-in-law of the Song family. Because Song Xiaoyun loved him a lot and he had some ability, the Song family gave him a portion of the shares. However, Tang Lusheng, who had seen the prosperity, gradually felt dissatisfied. Song Xiaoyun was still a jealous lover. She had a temper and couldn't bear to see him talking to other women. As time went on, he became more and more dissatisfied. Song Xiaoyun wasn't just a young lady. After the two elders of the Song family passed away, she could totally manage the Song group with her ability. Tang Lusheng had never been successful. His wife was very capable and often made him feel ashamed. After being dissatisfied, the more Song Xiaoyun didn't want him to get close to other women, the more he wanted to get close to them. He secretly had an affair with several women. Among them, the one who was most loyal to him was the woman who had been captured earlier. He thought that he could only be suppressed by Song Xiaoyun for the rest of his life. He didn't expect that when something happened to Tang Guo, Song Xiaoyun couldn't wait to find her. Because she was anxious, she went alone. He once mentioned to that woman that if Song Xiaoyun didn't exist, he would definitely marry her. Chapter 825. That woman took it seriously, which was why Song Xiaoyun was killed by a car. At first, Tang Lusheng was still a little afraid, but later on, everything in the Song group fell into his hands, and he even changed the Song group's surname to Tang. That woman came to him, saying that she was pregnant, and even said that she did it, and wanted him to marry her. That was when he took over the company, and his position was not stable yet. He did not like being threatened, but he still married her. When the company was stable and everything was in his hands, Song Xiaoyun's ghost came back and caused that woman to have a miscarriage. He found a Taoist priest and destroyed Song Xiaoyun's ghost. At that time, he was still a little regretful that Song Xiaoyun did not kill that woman. He was also afraid that Song Xiaoyun would do something to him, so he did not dare to delay. Now, the only threat to him was gone, and he still had a son. As long as he raised him, this son would only listen to him, so he had nothing to worry about. Tang Guo heard Tang Lusheng talking to himself. Looking at the other party's relaxed smile, she also smiled. Possessed. She made a hand seal and cast demonic obsession on Tang Lusheng. Instantly, Tang Lusheng's heart flashed, but it was only for a moment, and Tang Lusheng did not even notice it. If he opened his clothes, he would definitely find that the talisman given to him by Fang Tianxia had turned to ashes. The system hid in the corner, watching all this while trembling. Every time it saw the host cast possessed, it felt especially scared. Tang Lusheng, who was originally full of smiles, retracted his smile, took out his phone, and dialed a number. "It's me, Tang Lusheng. Boss Tang, do you have anything to say? I'm going to sell the shares in my hands, and the villa I live in, as well as some of my private property and collections. Help me donate all the money from the sale. Assistant Chen, help me arrange it as soon as possible, my time is limited." After Tang Lusheng hung up the phone, he sat in his seat in a daze, like a wooden man. Tang Guo's lips curled up slightly. He had nothing to begin with, and he was not satisfied with everything he had. If it were not for his hint, my mother would not have been killed by a car. It's not too much to let him have nothing again. Yes, it was not too much. The host was too kind. The original recipe had the same taste. The host's great revenge always liked to take away what the other party cared about the most. Tang Guo was in a good mood and floated out of the villa. When Qin Ju saw her coming out, he hurriedly asked, "What took you so long? Are you concerned about me or worried about me?" Tang Guo suddenly moved closer to him, scaring him so much that he took a step back. Seeing this, Tang Guo smiled. "I just found out the truth by accident and did something. That's why it took me a while." "What truth?" Tang Guo told Qin Ju everything. After hearing this, Qin Ju couldn't help but shake his head. Then he asked for it. "Tang Lusheng has a talisman around his neck, but it's useless to me. Now that the talisman has turned to ashes, do you think the alchemist will come?" Qin Ju's expression turned serious. "He should be here. Fang Tianxia's cultivation is very high, many powerful evil spirits have fallen into his hands." Qin Ju said worriedly, "Don't walk alone for now, follow me." Tang Guo's eyes lit up. "You mean, if the alchemist wants to kill me, you will definitely protect me? Didn't you hire me?" Qin Ju replied seriously. "Oh, is that so?" Hearing the disappointment in her voice, Qin Ju was slightly anxious. "Well, even if you didn't hire me, we've known each other for so long, I will definitely help you." After saying this, he saw Tang Guo's teasing gaze, and his ears turned red. Yes, I know." Tang Guo's sweet smile made him speechless, and he actually kind of liked her smile. Damn it. Chapter 826. In 3 days, Tang Lusheng sold all of his shares and all of his personal assets. Many people who knew Tang Lusheng did not understand why he would suddenly make such a decision. Today was the day that Tang Lusheng moved out of the villa. He pulled his suitcase and wore a suit that was neither new nor old as he walked out of the villa. Tang Guo floated to the side and watched as Tang Lusheng sold all of his assets and donated them. Seeing that Tang Lusheng did not have much money left, she happily floated around him. Qin Ju looked at her happy smile and also smiled. He stood in a hidden position, silently observing all of this. Suddenly, he saw a car parked not far away. 2 men in Daoist robes were running towards him at lightning speed. One of them was a Daoist in his 50s and the other was in his early 20s. Tang Guo also noticed them. She floated to Qin Ju's side and placed her hands on his back. The cold touch caused Qin Ju to shiver. "What are you doing? Daoist Qin, you haven't experienced being pressured by ghosts before, right? After all, your Daoist skills are very high. Normal ghosts wouldn't dare to approach you." "Indeed, I haven't." Qin Ju's body tensed up, not knowing what she was doing. Tang Guo was amused by his nervous appearance. "Daoist Qin, why are you so nervous? I didn't say that I was going to lie on your back. I'm just trying." She looked at the 2 people who were almost in front of Tang Lusheng. "The person beside Fang Yunkai, is he Fang Tianxia?" "It's him. Be careful. He really does have some Daoist skills." Qin Ju hesitated. If you want to lie on my back, then go ahead. He promised that he would protect her and not let Fang Tianxia hurt her. Naturally, he would do it. System, fine, he fell for her again. He knew that regardless of whether this fellow had memories or not, as long as his host started flirting, he would not be able to control himself. Why aren't you waking up? Fang Tianxia rushed in front of Tang Lusheng and suddenly shouted. Tang Lusheng, who was about to pull his suitcase, suddenly woke up. His eyes became clear as he scanned his surroundings. He lowered his head and saw that he was pulling a suitcase. He was very puzzled. When he realized that the suit he was wearing was actually the one that Song Xiaoyun had bought for him a few years ago, his expression changed immediately. Ever since Song Xiaoyun's death, he had hired someone to destroy Song Xiaoyun's ghost. He had moved out of the old villa and did not bring anything that Song Xiaoyun had given him. So why was he wearing this suit? Mr. Tang, are you all right? Fang Tianxia asked, his expression serious as he scanned his surroundings. He held the roulette in his hand, as if he was sensing something. Tang Lusheng nodded. Master Fang, why are you here? I'm fine. Tang Lusheng did not understand why Fang Tianxia would ask him such a question. Chapter 8:27. What's wrong with me? Tang Lusheng was afraid. Could it be that Song Xiaoyun's ghost really came back to take revenge on him? The problem was that he wasn't the one who did it. If he wanted revenge, he would go to prison to find that woman. You've been possessed. That ghost's cultivation is very high. If I hadn't come, I don't know when you would have woken up. Fang Tianxia's face was cautious. Mr. Tang, quickly take a look and see if you've done anything against your will these past few days. Okay, I'll check right away. Tang Lusheng felt uneasy. He heard that he had been possessed for several days. His entire body was in a state of unease. He quickly picked up the phone and called his assistant. Mr. Tang, are you asking about the donation? We have already donated all the donations for you. The orphanage and those poor schools have all sent you letters of gratitude. Thank you very much for your generosity and solving their urgent needs. I also admire you very much. Although I won't be your assistant in the future, you can still order me if you need anything. Donation? What donation? Tang Lusheng was suspicious, but he was not the impulsive type. After beating around the bush, he finally found out the truth. After hanging up the phone, he said with a pale face, I have nothing left. All the assets under my name are gone. This villa has also been sold, including the luxury goods, collections, and some expensive suits. Tang Lusheng's eyes turned red. The company's shares have also been sold. The money from the sale has been completely donated. The baby's cry attracted Tang Lusheng's attention. Only then did he remember that his back was a little heavy. It turned out that he was carrying a baby. Master Fang, you must help me. I don't know why, but everything was taken away by that hateful ghost. You must help me. When I get everything back, I will definitely pay you a high price. Tang Lusheng said anxiously. Fang Tianxia also frowned, so this ghost cast a spell on Tang Lusheng in order to make him lose everything. Since the other party didn't endanger people's lives, then he would catch him and throw him to the temple to awaken. Mr. Tang, tell me slowly. What happened these past few days? Tang Lusheng couldn't say anything at all. He only asked, Master Fang, is that ghost the ghost from before? I don't think so. Fang Tianxia shook his head. This ghost seems to only want to disperse your family's wealth and not harm your life. Mr. Tang, please carefully recall if you have offended anyone recently, or if you have met any special people or encountered any special things. These are all important. Tang Lusheng fell into deep thought. After a long time, he said, speaking of which, there is indeed one thing that is rather special. What is it? Fang Tianxia asked anxiously. 3 years ago, my eldest daughter went on a trip and went missing. Tang Lusheng's face darkened. Just a few days ago, an unknown number called me and told me that my eldest daughter had been killed and brought back her body. They wanted to ask me how to bury her. And then, Tang Lusheng looked uncomfortable. Master Fang, You know that because of the ghost incident, my son was just born, so we can't have a mourning hall at home. So, I plan to buy a cemetery and bury him. I know this may be a little unfair to my eldest daughter, but if there really is a problem, my youngest son will definitely not be able to handle it. Chapter 828. So, Mr. Tang didn't set up a mourning hall? Fang Tianqi's expression was ugly. Do you know that if you don't set up a mourning hall, your eldest daughter won't have a home and will forever be a lonely ghost, unable to reincarnate? Since she can't reincarnate, she will naturally blame you. I'm afraid this matter has something to do with your eldest daughter. Ah, is that so? Tang Lusheng's expression changed as he anxiously asked, then what should we do? Give me your eldest daughter's birth characters. I'll calculate and see if she's nearby. Moreover, if it really is her, Mr. Tang, you must persuade her to forgive you. Tang Lusheng asked again, what if she doesn't forgive me? Then this daoist can only take her away. Mr. Tang, please don't mind. I don't mind at all. Tang Lusheng quickly replied. He wouldn't mind even if he killed her, but he still said, if she changes, Master Fang shouldn't hurt her. That's natural. As long as she doesn't harm anyone's life, this daoist won't let her soul scatter. Tang Lusheng quickly reported Tang Guo's birth characters and name. When Fang Yunkai heard the two words Tang Guo, he couldn't help but ask, Tang Guo? Yes, my eldest daughter is called Tang Guo. Little master, is there a problem? Fang Tianxia also looked at Fang Yunkai. Fang Yunkai said, Master, I told you before that we met a very powerful female ghost in the mountain village. Her name is Tang Guo. However, in this world, there shouldn't be such a coincidence. Tang Guo looked at Fang Tianxia calculating over there, and the corners of her mouth curled up into a smile. If she was really the original owner, Fang Tianxia would be able to calculate her location. However, other than being the Tang Guo here, she was also another Tang Guo. Unless she allowed it, Fang Tianxia had no way of knowing her existence. What do you plan to do? Fang Tianxia, I won't let him go. Tang Guo replied with a smile, of course I want his life. Qin Ju didn't have any reaction, then be careful. I'll help you stop Fang Yunkai. Fang Yunkai, that little luo, I don't care about him at all. I can send him flying to the wall with a wave of my sleeve. Qin Ju was amused by her arrogant tone. But you still have to be careful. Ghost-catching Taoists have a long history, and they have all kinds of methods. Even if they come from the same sect, their methods are all different. Especially Fang Tianxia, he has never shown mercy to ghosts. Daoist Qin, are you concerned about me? Tang Guo blinked and met Qin Ju's gaze. Qin Ju felt a little uncomfortable, but he still said, if you think so, then so be it. Daoist Qin, if you care about me, just say it. Don't be shy. I won't laugh at you. I'm very happy to know that you care about me. Qin Ju's ears couldn't help but turn red. This female ghost was always indecent. Whenever there was a disagreement, she would say such ambiguous words to him. However, in his heart, he felt an inexplicable sense of joy. What do you plan to do? Qin Ju changed the topic. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. Doesn't Fang Tianxia like to catch ghosts? Just let him become a ghost. Daoist Qin, just wait for me here. I'll be fine. Don't worry. After saying this, without waiting for Qin Ju's reply, Tang Guo floated towards the villa. She purposely revealed some of her aura so that Fang Tianxia could sense it. Fang Tianxia indeed sensed it. He subconsciously shouted, Tang Guo, where are you going? Chapter 829. Tang Guo floated into the villa, and Fang Tianxia also rushed in with his sword. Fang Yunkai also wanted to go in, but after Fang Tianxia went in, the door closed. Fang Yunkai wanted to break in, but found that he couldn't open the door at all. For a moment, he anxiously waited at the door. Little master, will there be any problems with Master Fang? Tang Lusheng asked worriedly. Is that ghost my eldest daughter? Looking at Master's reaction, it should be right. Fang Yunkai looked worried. Seeing Tang Lusheng's worried look, he comforted him. Mr. Tang, don't worry. My master's skills are high, and he has caught many malicious ghosts. The ghost inside can't do anything to him. Soon, he will release the ghost claw, and you won't be obstructed in the future. Yes, I believe in Master Fang. Tang Lusheng looked worried, but a trace of ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. It would be best if Fang Tianxia could destroy the ghost inside. The mother and daughter were really troublesome. It was fine if they died, but he had to find them. Thinking that all his assets were gone, Tang Lusheng hated it even more. He couldn't wait to go in and destroy the ghost himself. But thinking about what happened in the past few days, his back was cold. Qin Ju stood in the corner. In the end, he was still worried, so he quietly went around from the other side of the villa. But because the villa's security was too good, he still couldn't jump in. In the end, he had no choice but to wait outside with a worried expression. An hour passed, and Qin Ju was a little uneasy. His palms were sweaty. He looked at the silent villa. Just as he was about to destroy the villa's security and rush in with his sword, Tangwa floated out of the window. She floated in front of him and gently touched his face. Finally, she landed on his back. The cold touch made his body tense, but he didn't have any intention of letting her down. He only asked nervously, "Are you hurt?" "No." Tangwa wrapped her arms around Qin Ju's neck. Feeling his stiffness, she whispered in his ear, "Daoist Qin, you're very worried about me." "Yes." Qin Ju didn't deny it. "I'm afraid that you'll be taken in by Fang Tianxia." Tangwa laughed happily. She wrapped her arms around his neck and leaned on his back. Although it was as light as a feather, Qin Ju could clearly feel her existence. At first, it was a little cold, making people feel gloomy and cold. Later on, they got used to it. He was a Daoist cultivator, so he was able to withstand this amount of yin qi. "If I can't beat Fang Tianxia and get taken in by him, wouldn't you have profited?" "No, I am a man of my word. I will save you from him." Tangwa asked with a smile, "Can Daoist Qin beat him? I have an immortal sword. I should be able to defeat him." Qin Ju was not modest at all. "Even without the immortal sword, I am confident that I can beat him. He is good at catching ghosts, so he might not be as good as me in a battle of magical powers." "I didn't expect Daoist Qin to be so narcissistic." Tangwa said softly, "Daoist Qin, how do you feel about me now? Are you interested in a human-ghost relationship? How is Fang Tianxia?" Qin Ju asked. Tangwa didn't mind him changing the topic. She said, "He's dead. He's now one of the wandering ghosts." "Really?" Qin Ju asked. At this moment, a voice came from the villa. "Master, Master." It was Fang Yunkai. Qin Ju heard this voice and knew that she wasn't lying. "Where do you want to go now?" This female ghost was really straightforward. She killed Fang Tianxia just like that. Chapter 830. Fang Yunkai and Tang Lusheng, who were waiting outside the villa, saw that more than an hour had passed, and Fang Tianxia still hadn't come out. They had a bad feeling in their hearts. Fang Yunkai couldn't wait any longer and tried to break the door of the villa again. Unexpectedly, when he pushed the door opened gently. He stood at the door, holding a wooden sword with a cautious expression. No sound came from inside. This already gave him a bad feeling. He carefully crept in. After taking 2 steps, he saw Fang Tianxia lying on the ground. He shouted "Master" and rushed in front of Fang Tianxia. He thought that Fang Tianxia should be injured, but he didn't expect that when he walked up to take a look, Fang Tianxia was dead. He cried out several times in horror. Fang Tianxia still didn't wake up. He finally believed that Fang Tianxia was dead. He didn't expect that Fang Tianxia was so powerful that he would die just like that. He waited outside the villa and didn't hear any movement inside at all. Tang Lusheng also followed in. Seeing that Fang Tianxia was dead, he was even more scared. He was so scared that he didn't say hello to Fang Yunkai. He ran out with the child in his arms. Fang Tianxia couldn't destroy that ghost, which showed that it was very powerful. Now, it was better for him to leave this place. Compared to money, he valued his life more. Now, even if he wanted to destroy the ghost in the villa, he didn't have the money to hire someone. He was looking forward to the ghost that made him lose all his money. Perhaps it was the ghost of his eldest daughter, who just wanted to make him a little unlucky. Perhaps after her anger had subsided, she would reincarnate. Tang Lusheng was covered in cold sweat. He remembered that Fang Tianxia had said that he set up a mourning hall to bring back the ghosts of people who died outside. He thought that when he settled down, he must set up a mourning hall for his eldest daughter. When she came back, she would definitely reincarnate without any resentment. Maybe if he coaxed her, she could find a way to get his property back. Thinking of this, Tang Lusheng was not so scared anymore. His eldest daughter had died long ago. She definitely didn't know about Song Xiaoyun, let alone what he was thinking. When the time came to invite the ghost back, he would put in a good word for her. That girl was only 20 years old this year, and their father-daughter relationship in the past was not bad. Tang Lu was no longer afraid. When he remembered that he had nothing now, he was very annoyed. In the end, he found a key in his pocket. He looked at the key. Wasn't this the key to the Tang family's old villa? The villa that still couldn't be sold. He thought for a moment and carried his youngest son to the villa. With the current situation, it was best to stay here for the time being. Only Fang Yunkai was left in the villa. He looked at Fang Tianxia's unscathed and cold body. Master. Fang Yunkai was a little choked up. He looked around but didn't find any traces of the ghost. He didn't know if the ghost had perished together with Fang Tianxia or if it had left. In the end, he had no choice but to carry the corpse of Fang Tianxia and leave. Fang Yunkai felt that this matter was not simple, so he sent the news of Fang Tianxia's death to the group in their circle. Seniors, I, Fang Yunkai, would like to ask you to help me find the female ghost that killed my master. At present, I don't know if she is still alive. When you find her, you don't need to do anything. I will take care of the rest. I, Fang Yunkai, will definitely thank you. Chapter 831. The people in the metaphysics circle were all shocked when they heard that Fang Tianxia was dead. Through the screen, they all started to calculate. In a place where Fang Yunkai couldn't see, they all had serious expressions. According to what they calculated, they all understood that Fang Tianxia's karma had arrived. If it wasn't related to someone they cared about, they wouldn't be willing to care about karma no matter how much the reward was. However, they were still very curious as to why Fang Tianxia suddenly died. Fang Yunkai told the people in the group about the family Tang villa. The group fell into silence for a long time. I've already advised Fang Tianxia not to care about the karma of the family Tang villa. Whatever happens to the family Tang villa in the future will be retribution. Look, he's also suffering retribution now. Yunkai, we can't interfere in this matter. Yeah, we can't interfere. I just calculated for myself. Once I interfere, I won't be able to return. Although I'm already so old, who doesn't want to live for 2 more years? If it was anything else, then forget it. But this is related to the family Tang villa. We can't interfere. No one in the group agreed to Fang Yunqi's condition. Even if Fang Yunqi's reward was very tempting, there were still things that they wanted. But in front of their lives, nothing was important. Seeing that no one cared, Fang Yunkai bid farewell to everyone and brought Fang Tianxia's body back to the sect to be buried. And he also took over Fang Tianxia's position. In fact, there were only him and Fang Tianxia in their sect. Qin Ju also noticed the commotion in the group and even asked Tang Guo to watch together. Looking at the reaction in the group, Tang Guo smiled. There are still many smart people. They have some ability and know that they can't interfere in this matter. If they interfere, they will cause trouble. She was very satisfied with this result. Where's Fang Tianxia's ghost? Qin Ju asked. He was just a little curious. He didn't sympathize with Fang Tianxia. It should be said that he didn't sympathize with people who had nothing to do with him. Tang Guo laid lazily on his back. Qin Ju was already used to the cold feeling. This female ghost likes to cause trouble. Forget it, I'll just let her be. It's only 20 years. It'll pass in the blink of an eye. Tangwa thought for a moment and said, I don't know where he went. Anyway, he is now a lonely ghost, just like those ordinary ghosts. I can't go home, I don't have my previous cultivation, and I have to hide because of the disgust of the ghost-catching Daoist priests. He'll experience it for himself. As a lonely ghost, he's already very pitiful. He clearly hasn't done anything bad, but the demon-catching Daoist priest still hates him to the core. In the future, he will encounter many more ghosts, and their experiences will be the same as his. He will personally see the ghosts that he is familiar with being captured by those demon hunters. There are good people and good ghosts. Tangwa placed her hands on Chinju's neck and whispered into his ear, no matter what race they are, there's no need to fight with them, right? Just like Daoist Chin, although he looks cold and doesn't care about the life and death of others. But when you catch demons, you only catch the demons that cause chaos in the city. You never kill the demons that cultivate honestly in the mountains, right? Chinju nodded. Yes. So, I find Daoist Chin very pleasing to the eye. From the first time I met Daoist Chin, I thought that this little Daoist priest was really different. He successfully piqued my interest. Chapter 832. Chinju didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Tangwa's words. So this was her first impression of him? Actually, he also wanted to say that when he first saw this female ghost, he also thought that she was different from other ghosts. He didn't know why, but every time he wanted to say something harsh, something would flash through his mind, and he would subconsciously swallow those cold and unpleasant words. It was as if he never wanted to say them. Miss Tang. Achem. Tangwa smiled as she grabbed Chinju's neck. Her cold fingers made Chinju shiver. It was not fear, but an indescribable feeling that spread from the bottom of his heart. It was a little warm, a little sweet, and also a little sour. We've known each other for so long, and you actually call me Miss Tang. Chinju took a deep breath and suppressed the feeling that was about to burst out. You don't call me Daoist Chin. I think that's fine. So you're worried about me calling you that? Chinju wanted to say no, how could that be? But he was curious. What was she going to say next? What was she going to call him? He felt that he might have been bewitched by this female ghost. But his mind was very clear, and he knew what he was doing. How do you want me to call you, Daoist Chin? Little Jew. Chinju's lips twitched. I'm older than you. Don't call me Little Jew. Brother Jew. Brother Jew? Chinju's heart softened. This female ghost's voice was too sweet. He couldn't stand it. Or, Brother Chin, Brother Lover. Chinju, what should I do? This female ghost really seemed to be haunting him. He couldn't get rid of her. When he heard her sweet voice calling him Brother Jew, Brother Chin, his heart actually felt so happy. Chinju's face was tense. Be serious. What if someone hears us? I'm a ghost. They can't hear me unless I want them to. Tangwa whispered into Chinju's ear. Do you like it when I call you that? Which name do you like? If you're afraid of others hearing you, I'll call you secretly. I guarantee that only you can hear me. Chinju's heart raced, and his ears turned red. It was all over. Chinju was a demon hunter. His life was to catch demons and earn money. No matter how beautiful a woman was, he wouldn't be moved. Chinju was going against his heart. This was a female ghost on his back. I'll call you Arju. When Chinju heard the voice behind the voice, he felt a strange sense of loss. Then, he laughed mockingly in his heart. When she called him that, he rejected it. Now that she had changed the way she addressed him, what was he regretting? Chinju fell into deep thought. He had to admit that this female ghost had really attracted him. I to do something to you. Chinju reacted. What do you want to do? I'll help you, he said subconsciously. After he said that, he smiled helplessly. He had fallen into her hands. I want to use these 20 years to wander around those remote places and see if there are any wandering ghosts like me. Chinju thought of what she had been through and felt pity for her. Then I'll go with you. Chinju could not help but think that if he ignored everything and stayed with her, they would only have 20 years. You're daydreaming, Arju. What are you thinking about? Tangwa asked. Chapter 833. I was thinking. Chin-ju hesitated for a moment before saying, why would a ghost like you like me? I'm just a demon-catching daoist. Other than some demon-catching skills, I'm just an ordinary person. About that, it's because I think you're cute. Also, Arju is not ordinary. As Tangwa spoke, she pinched Chin-ju's cheeks with both hands. For example, your face is especially good-looking. Also, your skills as a demon-catching daoist are not bad. Arju, you're too humble. With your looks, if you walk on the streets and shout out who wants to marry you, there will definitely be many beauties who would be willing. This was the first time Chin-ju had been seriously praised by someone. Even his family did not think that he was good. Later on, it was because he followed his master that his life became better. However, his master was focused on cultivation. Other than teaching him daoist techniques, he rarely interacted with him. This also caused him to develop a personality that did not like to get close to others. People called him a weird person. Where are you going in 20 years? Chin-ju asked. Tangwa smiled and replied, I don't know. Maybe it's the ghost world. After all, if a soul does not reincarnate, it will go to the ghost world in the end. Do you really think that I'm good? System, I keep feeling that something is wrong. Is it because the gender is reversed? This fellow is still embarrassed. Actually, it's not impossible to have a human-ghost relationship. I don't mind that. Chin-ju said, if you don't mind, can we try it? Tangwa's lips curled into a smile. Really? You mean that you like me too? It should be like. Chin-ju said with certainty, I can't bear to see you unhappy and want to do whatever you want. This should be like. This is like. Arju, you're really cute. Cute. What the hell? Chin-ju's face stiffened. Then, Tangwa laid on his back without any restraint. Her body slowly solidified. Her originally cold body also started to warm up. He was shocked at these changes. Arju, are you sure you won't regret it? We only have 20 years. Of course, I won't regret what I've decided. 20 years is enough to do many things. Didn't she say that she would go to the ghost world in the future? If it was inconvenient for her to come out in the future, he would go and look for her, Chin-ju thought to himself. After admitting his feelings, he felt much more relaxed, and the smile on his face never disappeared. It turned out that the feeling that had welled up in her heart earlier was because he liked her. In the following time, the two of them wandered around the small mountain villages and saw countless women being abducted. Tangwa didn't kill any more people. She only exposed the trafficking village and secretly crippled those villains. She saved the girls who had just entered the village. The women who had been in the village for a long time were unwilling to leave. She would not care about them, let alone sympathize with them. If they were not exposed, sooner or later, these women would only become accomplices to those who hurt innocent girls in the future. One day, Chin-ju and Tangwa sat hand in hand on the top of a mountain and looked down at the small village. Did Gwugwa think of doing this because of her own experience? They had just arrived today. The village below was also the kind of village where girls were abducted and sold. Wives were abducted and bought. Tangwa leaned on his shoulder and shook her head. No. Then why? Since we're here, we want to do something and leave something behind to make life more meaningful. Chapter 834. Chin-ju remembered that she was just a ghost now and couldn't help but laugh. We've already attracted the attention of the metaphysics circle. Chin-ju said. Tangwa didn't care, what will they do? Before they saw Gwugwa, they definitely wanted to do something. But after seeing Gwugwa, they probably didn't have the courage to do anything. His ghost girlfriend wasn't simple. It's good that you know. At this moment, Tangwa looked at the gradually darkening sky. Okay, Arju, wait for me here. I'm going to do something big. I'll wait for you to come back. Chin-ju had thought of helping her do those things before, but she seemed to despise him for not being able to do it. She said that he couldn't hide himself and was too big of a target. She was different. She was a ghost and no one could discover her. He sat on the hill and watched her figure float down. His eyes were full of smiles. He liked everything about her, whether she was a ghost or not. Now, he felt that 20 years was a bit short. So, he should cultivate his Tao techniques and become stronger. That way, it would be easier for him to enter the ghost world. That's right, he was indeed not satisfied. Before he was with her, he was still a bit hesitant. But after he was with her, he realized how charming this ghost girl was. Everything about her, including even a strand of her hair, he felt that it was exceptionally charming. Whatever she said, he wanted to listen to her. Her smile, he felt that it was the most beautiful smile in the world. Her voice was naturally the sweetest and most pleasant to listen to. He would never get tired of hearing it. Daoist Qin, why are you here? Qin Ju's beautiful fantasy was suddenly interrupted by a voice. He frowned and looked unhappily at the group of people climbing up the hill. The ones leading the way were Fang Yunkai and a young woman. He had seen them before. It was already 2 years ago. This woman was called Ning Xiangxi. She was in the mountain village where he met Guo Guo. Behind the two of them, there were a few familiar people. They were all in the metaphysics circle and were good at catching ghosts. Looking at these people, Qin Ju fell into deep thought. Then, he asked, "Why are you all here? Daoist Qin, haven't you seen the group recently? How could you not know about such big news? I thought you were going to change your profession to ghost hunting, so I came here to give it a try." Qin Ju already had a guess in his heart. In the past 2 years, his guogua had caused quite a commotion, so it was normal for her to attract these people. "I'm not here to catch ghosts." He had accompanied his female ghost to deal with the villains in the mountain village. Thinking that there were a few people he had a good impression of, he said, "There is no ghost here that you want to catch. You can go to the next place. Daoist Qin, I'm certain that the ghost we're looking for is here." Fang Yunkai stared at Qin Ju and said righteously, "I can already smell that ghost scent. All ghosts in this world should be killed. Since I've seen it, I definitely won't let it go." Qin Ju looked at Fang Yunkai in a daze. He had only seen such an expression on Fang Tianqi's face before. Every time he encountered a ghost, whether it was innocent or not, Fang Tianqi would mercilessly capture the other party. If the ghost did not harm anyone and could be easily captured or surrendered, Fang Tianqi would let it live and send it to the temple. If the ghost had harmed someone, no matter what the reason was, even if it was a personal grudge, in Fang Tianqi's eyes, it was an evil ghost that deserved to be killed. Fang Yunkai had already become a Fang Tianqi. If I say there isn't one, then there isn't one. Qin Ju looked past Fang Yunkai and looked at the others. "Considering our past relationship, fellow cultivators, please don't interfere in this matter." Chapter 835. Whether there are ghosts or not, we'll only know after looking for them. Daoist Qin, you're so confident that there aren't any. Fang Yunkai narrowed his eyes. "I'm very suspicious of Daoist Qin's true motive. I remember that a few years ago, in a small mountain village, Daoist Qin left with a female ghost, right? Now that Daoist Qin is stopping us from catching the ghost, could it be that the ghost that appeared here is the same one from back then?" Fang Yunkai was aggressive. "Then can I guess that the ghost that has been doing evil all these years is the ghost called Tanguo from back then?" The others looked at each other. They more or less knew a little about what happened back then. They only knew that Fang Yunkai had suffered a great loss at the hands of a female ghost. Later on, Fang Tianqi had died, so they had almost forgotten about this matter. If it was the ghost from back then, only 2 years had passed. Fang Yunkai had been beaten so badly by the ghost back then. Could he deal with it today? Daoist Qin, I've always known that you're a person who only cares about money and has no principles at all. I don't know what benefits that ghost gave you to make you help her harm people." Qin Ju said, "She didn't harm anyone." "Didn't harm anyone?" Fang Yunkai was so angry that he laughed. "Over the years, how many small villages have those things happened? It's exactly the same as back then. At first, I wasn't sure, But now that Daoist Qin is here, I'm very sure that the ghost is Tangguo, right? Yes. Qin Ju didn't hide anything and directly answered. He wasn't afraid that these people would come to deal with his Guoguo. Even if Guoguo didn't make a move, with the immortal sword that he had already refined and improved a lot in the past 2 years, these people wouldn't be his match. Daoist Qin, is that ghost really Tangguo? Is she the one who did all these things? Ning Xiangxi also interrupted. In the past 2 years, Brother Fang and I have already investigated. That Tangguo from back then is the Tangguo from the family Tang. She's also the eldest daughter of Tang Lu. She's also the female ghost that killed my master. Whether it's out of justice or out of personal hatred, I, Fang Yunkai, will kill her every time I see her in my life until her soul dissipates. Otherwise, I won't let her go. Since we've met each other today, I definitely won't let her harm the world again. Qin Ju had a relaxed expression. Why are you telling me this? Do you think I'll help you uphold justice just because you said so? No, the thing that I, Qin Ju, dislike the most is upholding justice. You all know that Qin Ju only likes to catch demons and earn money. Of course, I have another hobby now. When he said the last sentence, Qin Ju's face was full of smiles. Other than Fang Yunkai, everyone else who was familiar with Qin Ju looked at each other. They didn't understand why Qin Ju, who was always cold to everyone, would smile so foolishly. They really wanted to know what kind of hobby Qin Ju had. But since the other party didn't want to talk about it, they were too embarrassed to ask that. People. TTT. They. TTT them TTT as to however, when they heard Fang Yunkai say that the ghost was related to the Tang family, many people's hearts skipped a beat. Their backs were drenched in sweat. Fang Yunkai had tricked them. If they hadn't met Qin Ju, they would have been tricked by Fang Yunkai. Chapter 836. No one could get involved in the karma of the family Tang. Even Fang Tianxia couldn't deal with the female ghost, so they should just forget about it. Seniors, are you planning to give up? Fang Yunkai saw that everyone was retreating and quickly said, I will definitely give you what I promised as long as you help me take down that female ghost. Once she's dead, there won't be any more karma, right? Kid Fang, it's not that we don't want to help you deal with the female ghost. If she has nothing to do with the family Tang and has done a lot of evil, as ghost hunters, we will definitely help you. But this female ghost is from the family Tang. The karma of the family Tang is too heavy. No one here can bear it. An older Taoist looked at Fang Yunkai and sighed, Kid Fang, listen to my advice. Your master died because of karma. If he was really killed by the family Tang's daughter, then it can only be considered as revenge. After all, your master killed the ghost of her mother. Think about it. Don't you hate her to the core because she killed your master? If you can deal with her, then forget it. You are no match for her. It's not that they looked down on Fang Yunkai, but Fang Tianxia was so powerful that he could kill the female ghost just like that. How can it be the same? If her mother didn't do evil and cause a miscarriage and make the entire family Tang restless, why would my master kill her? All ghosts that harm people deserve to die. Then what about the people that harm people? Suddenly, a pleasant voice came from not far away, attracting everyone's attention. Tangguo floated up from below. Everyone looked at her with vigilance. They even quickly moved away from Fang Yunqi's position, as if to say that they had nothing to do with Fang Yunkai and were just passing by. Tangguo didn't care about them. She only looked at Fang Yunkai with a smile. You said that ghosts that harm people deserve to die. Then what about the people that harm people? Bad people will be punished by the law. Even if the law can't punish them, God will. Tangguo slowly walked to Qin Ju's side and smiled. Do you know a phrase called enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens? The heavens are so busy that they definitely won't be able to do anything about it. So, I'll just help him get rid of all these troublesome matters and bad people. Isn't that great? My master is not a bad person. On the contrary, he saved many people and killed those evil spirits. Fang Yunkai said anxiously. Tangguo chuckled. He's your master. Of course, he's not an evil person in your eyes. However, he destroyed my mother's soul. To me, he's an evil person. It's only right and proper to avenge your mother. I didn't do anything wrong. Then it's only right for me to avenge my master, Fang Yunkai said subconsciously. Tang Guo laughed out loud. That's right. If you're talking about revenge, then I won't despise you. What kind of excuse are you looking for? Since you don't want to, then forget it. I hope you won't regret it one day. When this female ghost grows up in the future, it will be incredible. The human world will be in chaos because of her. With that, Fang Yunkai ignored the people behind him and chased after Tang Guo into the village. The rest of the people shook their heads. What grow up? She had already grown up, okay? No one could stop her from growing up. She would only get stronger and stronger. Chapter 838. When the crowd saw Qin Ju standing there calmly, they were curious. Weren't the human and the ghost in love? Fang Yunkai was going to deal with Tang Guo. Why was Qin Ju still sitting there? Qin Ju, aren't you going to take a look? Someone who was closer to Qin Ju moved to his side and asked, what if Fang Yunkai really has a way to deal with her? Aren't you worried? Fang Yunkai isn't enough. Qin Ju said confidently, she doesn't want me to follow her. She said that what she's going to do is bloody and violent. She wants me to stay here and wait. She said that in front of me, she has to be elegant and ladylike. Haha, is that so? These days, do all ghosts care so much about their image in front of their partners? But the things she did, even if you didn't look, you would think that it was very violent. Actually, I don't care about these things. Qin Ju smiled, but since she doesn't want me to look, I won't look. I'll just wait here for her. Qin Ju, why would she do these things? Qin Ju didn't mind their questions. He took out his phone and sent them the information and photos he had found. Take a look. She was once left in the village by someone like this. She escaped in the end, but she didn't manage to escape. She jumped off the cliff and died. Everyone looked at the information and photos in the group and chose to remain silent. When they arrived, they felt that the yin energy here was very heavy. They thought that it was because the ghost was too powerful. After looking at the information, they understood why. In fact, she was very close to them just now. The yin energy on her body wasn't heavy, especially when she was holding on to Qin Ju. There was almost no yin energy on her body. Where did the yin energy come from? Other than the information, there were also photos in the group. It was nothing else but piles of bones that had been dug up near this small mountain village. These bones were made by the people in the village. They were all abducted from the outside. They were all women who didn't want to be obedient. And those obedient women became their accomplices. I reckon that this time, she will find out who was involved in these things and kill them. Qin Ju said with a smile. If they hadn't seen the photos and information in the group, they would have thought that Qin Ju was crazy. After seeing these things, they chose to remain silent. After a while, someone who had a good relationship with Qin Ju said, although the people she killed deserve to be killed, she's a stage 1 ghost. If this continues, she'll be punished by the heavens sooner or later. We don't care about that. Qin Ju, if you're serious, you should just focus on cultivating with her. I asked her about it. Qin Ju said, she said that the heavens don't dare to punish her. Qin Ju, I think you're crazy. You believe whatever she says. Qin Ju nodded matter-of-factly. That's right. I believe whatever she says. Chapter 839. When everyone saw how confident Qin Ju was, they all felt that he was too blind and had been bewitched by a female ghost. However, they didn't dare to say anything bad about that female ghost. That female ghost was from the family and family was filled with karma. They didn't want to offend her just because of one sentence. She won't do anything to that kid, right? Qin Ju said with certainty. As long as Fang Yunkai doesn't cross her bottom line, like what happened to Fang Tianxia, she won't kill him. As for what she will do to him, I don't know. Hihi, what kind of answer was that? Knowing that Fang Yunqi's life wouldn't be in danger, they weren't worried anymore. Although Qin Ju didn't have much compassion, he was still a person with principles. He would do whatever he said and wouldn't lie. They were curious about how strong that female ghost was, but they didn't want to watch the show. They saw that Qin Ju was in a good mood, so they went to talk to him about Tang Guo. They realized that as long as they talked about Tang Guo, Qin Ju's face would be full of smiles. Fang Yunkai chased after Tang Guo and watched as Tang Guo entered the village. When he saw the large field in the village, he felt that the surrounding yin energy was extremely heavy. When he looked carefully, he realized that there were wandering ghosts everywhere. At that moment, he wanted to draw his sword and kill the ghosts. Right at that moment, Tang Guo walked out of the house and smiled at him. He felt that something was wrong. When he was about to rush in front of those little ghosts, he finally realized what was wrong. The little ghosts were right in front of him. As long as he slashed, their souls would definitely scatter. However, his sword seemed to have hit an invisible barrier and couldn't go any further. He tried to rush over, but he realized that he couldn't pass through this invisible barrier. Ning Xiangxi also reached out and pushed, but she realized that what was blocking them was a transparent wall. We can't pass, Big Brother Fang. This ghost's skills are high. It used the ghost wall on us. I'll think of a way. When Tang Guo heard the words ghost hitting the wall, she couldn't help but laugh. This is not ghost hitting the wall. Fang Yunkai, you were a dabbler 2 years ago, and you're still a dabbler now. Don't you know what a barrier is? Fang Yunkai smiled. Ghost wall? Only he could think of that. Boundaries? Fang Yunqi's expression changed. Impossible. Even with his master's ability, it was impossible for him to set up the legendary enchantment. She was just a new ghost, how could she know how to set up an enchantment? He didn't believe it. I can't be bothered to talk to you. Not only can't come over, you can't leave. You guys can stay there until I'm done with my business. Don't you want to stop me? Don't you want to punish evil and promote good? Don't you want to uphold justice and eliminate evil? Let me tell you, in the face of absolute power, those are all fake. After Tang Guo finished speaking, she no longer paid any attention to him. Instead, she smiled at the little ghosts and took out a soul condensing pill. Come, condense your soul bodies, then go in and find the person who killed you. Whoever harmed you, take revenge. As for those who didn't harm you, don't bother. After you've taken your revenge, I'll help you release your souls and send you to reincarnation. TTT. This is called enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens. They're just going to take revenge on their enemies. You're unreasonable. Why can you, Fang Yunkai, take revenge for your master, but we ghosts can't? Tang Guo, you'll be punished by the heavens. Chapter 840. No, I won't. God wouldn't dare to punish me. Fang Yunqi's face was cold. God will definitely punish you for an evil spirit like you. Fang Yunkai, you are actually a selfish person. Tang Guo narrowed her eyes. One day, you will regret it. You will also understand how laughable your actions are. Originally, I had already gotten rid of some evil spirits. However, fate is unpredictable. Today, I get rid of this evil spirit, but tomorrow, the evil spirit may appear in another place. Fang Yunkai, I will give you one last advice. When you catch ghosts, use your brain. Don't catch all kinds of ghosts. No matter if they are good or bad, they will take away their life. Fang Yunkai did not speak. I punish evil and promote good. I kill evil spirits. How can there be evil spirits? Tang Guo smiled and shook her head. She did not say anything else. The smart little ghosts who had already formed their souls saw Tang Guo standing there. They took a chair out of nowhere and placed it in front of her. They bowed respectfully to her. Okay, you guys go and take revenge. I will take care of everything here. Tang Guo, you have to follow the rules. If you continue to act like this, even God will punish you. Fang Yunkai could not go over. Soon, he heard screams coming from the village. He shouted, "Tang Guo." Tang Guo did not turn her head. She only listened to the screams. After a long time, Fang Yunkai looked very dispirited. He could not even do anything to a ghost. How could he be a ghost hunter? "Have you finished taking revenge?" Tang Guo asked the little ghosts. The group of little ghosts came in front of Tang Guo. They bowed to her gratefully and said thank you. Souls did not have tears. They wanted to cry, but they could not. They only had an ugly expression. "Then I will help you guys to enter the cycle of reincarnation." Tang Guo said with a smile, "This cycle of reincarnation is a good thing. In the next life, you will become a new person. You will not remember what happened in this life. However, you have to be a person with principles." The brats didn't quite understand this, but they believed that a person with principles was a person who wouldn't persecute others for no reason, a person with principles. They felt that Tang Guo's words were really strange. Why didn't she ask them to be good people? Because being a good person might not bring good karma. If you're too good, you'll be easily bullied. All you need to do is follow your own heart and principles, and not take the initiative to harm others. The little ghosts nodded as if they understood something. When Tang Guo finished reading the rebirth scripture, they sat down with their legs crossed. Not long after, their souls became transparent. Tang Guo made a hand seal and opened a door beside them. They seemed to have sensed something and finally bowed to Tang Guo before jumping into the cycle of reincarnation. Chapter 841. But seeing Fang Yunkai in pain, she quickly drove those thoughts out of her mind. "Brother Fang, are you okay?" Ning Xiangxi asked worriedly. "We can't deal with her." Seeing Tang Guo cripple those men, she vaguely felt a little happy. She remembered that a few months after the incident in the small village, something happened in her school. There was a girl in school who rented a house outside the school. One day, the teacher called her name and found that she didn't come. She didn't pick up the phone. They contacted her parents, but there was no news of her coming home. Later, someone suggested that they go to the house she rented. The door was closed. They asked the landlord for the key to open the door. As soon as they entered the house, they felt that something was wrong. The house was in a mess. In the end, they found the girl dead in the bedroom. The final test result was that the girl was raped and then strangled to death. At that time, her parents heard about the incident and brought her home every day. She also saw the girl's parents. At that time, they were crying very sadly and shouted that they wanted to cut the rapist into pieces. When she returned home, her parents also talked about the incident. They said that the rapist should be cut into pieces. If such a thing happened to them, they definitely wouldn't be able to accept it. In short, she felt that her parents weren't joking. And through that incident, she understood Tang Guo's actions a little. Now that she saw what Tang Guo did to those people, she didn't have any thoughts of stopping her. The previous rapist was only caught last year. The girl's parents spent a lot of effort to find him. When she saw them on the news again, she almost didn't recognize them. They seemed to have aged more than 20 years. Their hair had turned white, but they were still only 40 years old. One day, I, Fang Yunkai, will personally destroy her soul. When Ning Xiangxi heard Fang Yunkai say this, she didn't have much of a sense of agreement. "Brother Fang, actually, it's all these people who have done all kinds of evil. It's understandable that I want to take revenge on them. Tang Guo is so powerful. Why don't we just forget about it?" She felt that with Tang Guo around, perhaps the abduction wouldn't happen. The incident with the girl in the same school changed many of her views. Especially during that time, her parents scolded that bad guy every day, and the girl's parents who were already unreasonably old. Wasn't all of this done by those villains? The rules of society could not punish them. It was actually quite good to have an anomaly like Tang Guo around. At least, many young girls like her would not be abducted and brought here to suffer and lose their lives in the future. Impossible. Fang Yunkai said stubbornly that it was impossible. He would kill Tang Guo. The Buddha's light on Tang Guo's body had disappeared, and she had returned to her previous appearance. She floated up, and not long after she floated away, Fang Yunkai quickly chased after her with his sword. Looking at Tang Guo, he didn't even think about it before rushing over. This time, Tang Guo didn't attack. Instead, Qin Ju raised his leg and kicked Fang Yunkai down. Tang Guo, I won't let you off. Fang Yunkai crawled up from the ground. His eyes were bloodshot and filled with hatred. The sword in his hand was trembling. And you, Qin Ju, from today onwards, you are all my enemies. One day, I, Fang Yunkai, will kill all the ghosts in the world. As long as I, Fang Yunkai, am here, not a single ghost will appear. Chapter 842. Qin Ju hugged the ghost wife's waist and said calmly, with me here, you won't be able to kill her. Even without me, you won't be able to kill her. This sentence almost made Fang Yunkai spit out blood. However, this was the truth. He could only glare at the two of them. Everyone will be leaving first. Tang Guo smiled and greeted the Taoists. I heard from our Ju that you're all ghost hunters. I'm a ghost. Why don't you come and catch me? We don't dare, we don't dare. Everyone shook their heads and smiled bitterly. We can't afford to offend you. This was not a ghost king, but a ghost emperor. They couldn't afford to offend her. Besides, this village was full of evil people. They couldn't do anything about what she did. They realized that the yin qi just now had disappeared. It probably had something to do with her. Those little ghosts couldn't have been swallowed by her, right? But thinking about her actions, she shouldn't have swallowed those little ghosts. They were really curious and couldn't help but ask, Miss Tang, where are those little ghosts that died in the village? Them. I released their souls and sent them to the cycle of reincarnation. They've been wandering ghosts for so many years. It's quite pitiful. Seeing that we're the same kind, I'll send them to the cycle of reincarnation. When everyone heard this, they were stunned. Release souls? It can't be, right? Could a ghost be released from purgatory? But when they thought about what kind of ghost she was, the doubts in their hearts disappeared. Perhaps, this ghost was really different. Under everyone's gaze, Tang Guo floated onto Qin Ju's back. She wrapped her arms around his neck and the two of them left just like that. After being a ghost for so many years, she still preferred to lie on Qin Ju's back. She smiled and said to Qin Ju, I didn't do anything this time. It was those little ghosts who did it. Fang Yunkai was so angry. Let's go to the next place. Those little ghosts told me that they found a few more villages like this. Okay. Qin Ju also liked it when she lay on his back. Listening to the things that she shared with him, he felt that he had lived for 20 years in vain. 20 years was really short. Unknowingly, 2 years had passed. Qin Ju felt a little sad, but he quickly pulled himself together. He had to concentrate on his cultivation. Brother Fang, let's go. Ning Xiangxi tugged at Fang Yunkai, who was still staring. Looking at him, her heart ached. Why don't we find a place to relax? No. Fang Yunkai sheathed his sword and said to Ning Xiangxi, Xiangxi, I need to go to the temple immediately and ask Master Ming Xian for help. Master Ming Xian's Dharma is superb, he will definitely be able to destroy this ghost. Ning Xiangxi was unwilling. Tang Guo didn't harm anyone. She was dealing with these villains. Why did she have to find someone to destroy her? Seeing Fang Yunqi's expression, she could only nod. 2. Will you succeed in dealing with Tang Guo? Ning Xiangxi asked. What if you don't succeed? 2. To t. He. To t. To t. To t. To t. To t. 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 To. To t. 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 To t. Ning Xiangxi's heart skipped a beat. Was he really that powerful? She pursed her lips, feeling a little uncomfortable. Xiangxi, you go home first. I'm going to find T.S. I'll come find you after I find him. Without waiting for Ning Xiangxi's reply, he left. Ning Xiangxi thought about what happened before and didn't mind. When Fang Yunkai was far away, she looked at the others. Seniors. Xiangxi, what's wrong? Seniors, can you contact Tang Guo? Everyone looked at each other, not understanding why. Chapter 843. We can't contact Miss Tang. After all, she's a very powerful ghost. Ghosts don't seem to use phones. Ning Xiangxi was slightly disappointed when she heard this. Then, one of the Taoists said, "But we can contact Qin Ju. We all have his number. They seem to be in a relationship now. If you want to find Miss Tang, it shouldn't be a problem to contact Qin Ju. Senior, can you give me Taoist Qin's number?" Ning Xiangxi asked happily. The Taoists didn't give it to her immediately. Instead, they asked Ning Xiangxi, "Why are you looking for Miss Tang?" They recalled Fang Yunqi's words and had a vague guess. Ning Xiangxi's expression changed slightly. She took a deep breath. "Actually, 2 years ago, I was almost left in this small mountain village forever. At that time, Miss Tang appeared and saved me. 2 years ago, I also thought that it wasn't good for her to kill the innocent. But ideas change with time." After saying this, Ning Xiangxi felt much better. In fact, ever since her ideas changed, she had been feeling guilty. Tang Guo saved her back then, but she didn't sincerely thank her. Thinking about it, Miss Tang should be my savior. If Master Ming Xian is really too powerful and I know about this, I won't ask or remind her. Wouldn't that be ungrateful? If something really happens to her, I might feel guilty for the rest of my life. Everyone nodded. This time, they looked at Ning Xiangxi with admiration. "It's good that you understand. In this world, the definition of good and evil isn't that simple. Some things seem evil, but are actually good. Some things seem good, but the person who does it doesn't know what kind of evil it will cause in the future." Therefore, although they were ghost hunters, they never cared about karma. They only cared about ghosts that wanted revenge. As long as they weren't real evil ghosts, they would leave automatically after taking revenge. They didn't need to care at all. The ghosts they cared about were those that really harmed humans. Some couldn't reincarnate but wanted to find a scapegoat. "I know." Ning Xiangxi nodded quickly. She already understood that she was too naive in the past. She thought that everything needed justice. In fact, many things weren't as simple as they seemed. Especially when she saw Fang Yunkai become more and more extreme. She felt terrible and didn't know how to persuade him. "All right, I'll give you Qin Ju's number. You can tell them what you want. Also, you should try to persuade that kid Fang more often. I see that his body has been tainted with quite a bit of karma. If this continues, I'm afraid that he won't even be as good as Fang Tianxia. I wonder who will suffer from karma." The Daoist priest looked at Ning Xiangxi meaningfully. Instantly, Ning Xiangxi's face turned pale. Her words were very clear. Since she was with Fang Yunkai, it could be said that she was indirectly affected by his karma. Perhaps, in the future, these things would come back to her. However, she truly liked Fang Yunkai. "I'll try to persuade him and do more good deeds. I'll slowly remove the karma on him." She understood the intentions of these seniors. They wanted her to break up with Fang Yunkai as soon as possible. If they were just friends, then it would be fine. However, if they became husband and wife, then she would have to bear half of the karma. All right then. The few Taoists looked at each other, passed the phone to Ning Xiangxi, and left. Chapter 844. After Ning Xiangxi got the phone, she found a place with a better signal and called Qin Ju. Qin Ju saw that it was an unfamiliar number and picked it up curiously. The voice on the other end said, "Excuse me, is this Daoist Qin?" Qin Ju was very familiar with this voice. He said to Tang Guo, "It's Ning Xiangxi. Ask her what's the matter." Tang Guo leaned on his back and said with a smile. Ning Xiangxi's call really surprised her. She just didn't know what Ning Xiangxi wanted to say. "It's me. What's the matter?" Qin Ju asked. Ning Xiangxi sighed. I want to see Miss Tang. Is it convenient for you? You haven't gone far, have you? I'm still at the same place. Guo Guo, she wants to see you." Qin Ju and Tang Guo were talking to each other. Their whispers reached Ning Xiangxi's ears. She had noticed before that the man and the ghost were really intimate. They were more in love than her and Fang Yunkai. Thinking about this, she felt a little sad. Ever since Fang Yunkai was blinded by hatred, the sweetness between them had become less and less. Tang Guo took the phone and her voice interrupted Ning Xiangxi's thoughts. You want to see me? Yes, Miss Tang. Is it convenient? Ning Xiangxi was a little nervous. No matter if it was 2 years ago or today, Tang Guo always gave her the feeling that she was strong, unrestrained, and free. He could do whatever he wanted, and he would never be bound by the so-called rules and regulations. Tang Guo was the one who did things based on her heart and principles. She felt that this late gratitude should be expressed to her face to face. She even thought that if Tang Guo had been there for the incident that happened at school, she might have found the murderer of the innocent girl and found the girl's ghost. Just say what you want to say. It's the same over the phone. Ning Xiangxi was a little disappointed. Was she really ignoring her? I'm very busy and don't have time to sit down with you face to face. If you haven't thought about it, you can send a message to this phone and slowly think about how to tell me. Ning Xiangxi hurriedly said, No, I'll just tell you like this. It won't take up much of your time. Tang Guo laughed. All right, go ahead. She had a feeling that Ning Xiangxi was different today. She could tell that Ning Xiangxi wasn't disgusted by what she had done today. She could even vaguely sense the joy in her eyes. What exactly changed Ning Xiangxi? Miss Tang, the first thing I want to say today is thank you. Ning Xiangxi continued, maybe to you, it's just like what happened today. It's just a matter of convenience, but to me, it's very important. If you hadn't appeared in time back then, I might have been one of those numb women, or I might have been one of those dead souls. If you hadn't appeared, I would have been a lonely ghost. Tang Guo was a little surprised, but it was within her expectations. Ning Xiangxi was not a bad person, but the education she had received since she was young was too orthodox. Most of the time, her kindness was misused in other ways. With her pure and kind mind, she couldn't have foreseen the consequences. Of course, she believed that Ning Xiangxi must have experienced something bad to be able to change her. Is there anything else? Ning Xiangxi already knew that Tang Guo might have such a nonchalant attitude. There's another thing. Brother Fang has already gone to look for Master Mingxian. Chapter 845. I heard him say that Master Mingxian's Dharma is superb. You should be careful. I'm just an ordinary person. I can't help you. Ning Xiangxi's voice was full of worry. I think you should go out and hide. Tang Guo was amused by Ning Xiangxi. Okay, I got it. I'm serious. You should be careful. Hearing the other party's nonchalant attitude, Ning Xiangxi was a little angry. Okay, I've already said so much. I can't do anything else. I'll hang up now. Wait a minute. Tang Guo stopped Ning Xiangxi from hanging up. She glanced around and found a bigger tree branch. She took out a bead and placed it in the middle of the tree branch before saying, Follow the direction I left. There's the biggest tree here. I placed a small bead on the tree branch. Just now, I calculated that you'll have a cute daughter in the future. Put this bead on your daughter. Take it as a reward for telling me that Master Mingxian will come to collect me. Ning Xiangxi hurriedly said, I'm not telling you this for a reward. Also, how could a ghost predict that she would have a cute daughter? This was really too amazing. But thinking that the other party could even exorcise ghosts, she believed it. It's your business whether you take it or not. I've already placed the bead on the tree branch. This bead has the effect of strengthening the body and can also ward off evil spirits. Hearing that it could ward off evil spirits, Ning Xiangxi was moved. Because her physique was especially attractive to ghosts, it was only with the help of Fang Tianxia that she was able to avoid all these. Her mother was also very attractive to ghosts. It should be said that their family's ability to attract ghosts was only passed down to females and not males. Thank you. Slap. The response was the sound of the phone being hung up. This time, Ning Xiangxi was not angry. That special female ghost did things casually. In this world, there was nothing that she cared about. Even when she did those things, even when she exorcised those ghosts, there was no pity in her eyes. It was just that she wanted to do so. Killing those bad people and crippling those bastards was just what she wanted to do. Exorcising those ghosts was also what she wanted to do. Giving her future daughter a meeting gift out of the blue was probably something that flashed through the other party's mind. Therefore, as humans, they were not as carefree as ghosts. At the very least, she dared to do whatever she wanted to do. That fearless aura really intimidated her. She followed Tangua's words and found the tree branch. Looking at the ordinary bead, she carefully put it away. This was for her future daughter to ward off evil spirits, so shouldn't she take good care of it? In order to avoid Fang Yunkai finding out in the future, she decided not to tell him that the bead was given to her by Tangua, lest he got angry. Guogua, why did you give her the defensive pearl? Qin Ju couldn't help but sigh. His female ghost wife was really rich. She had everything. If I want to give it to you, I'll give it to you. Do I need a reason? Qin Ju couldn't see her expression, but he could feel that she was in a good mood. You're still in such a good mood after giving away your treasure. Are you jealous, Aju? What treasure do you want? A storage ring appeared on Tangua's hand. She floated down from Qin Ju's body and put the storage ring on his finger. There are a lot of things inside. They're all yours. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.